for this room?
To fill it. Just want people here all the time. More importantly, I want for people to feel like they can stay, you know.
I believe this happened.
We have been needing a bigger office space for months now, and the opportunity finally came up yesterday to get a new one. But the catch was we had to move in that same day.
And we made an impulse decision and said yes.
This was so unexpected, but I did not want to lose a day. Anyway, all my family started to come over to help us move. The new office space has 3 extra rooms, which means we can produce a lot more product for you guys.
And today I wanted to talk about a topic that I feel like I'm seeing more and more of on social media. Like, I've seen it before, but I'm seeing it a little bit more, and it's kind of weird energy to me. So what I'm talking about, if you haven't seen the title at all, but I do think that people who are poor or categorized as poor in today's economy have a bit of envy towards people that they perceive or who are actually doing better than them, and it's just coming off really nasty and jealous and lack of empathy due to not actually experiencing or not being perceived as experiencing some of the same struggles that poor people may have. I wanted to talk about like this issue in the dynamic of the way we are speaking. Like, I feel as if people are assuming that if you are a celebrity, or if you make $100,000, or, you know, even if you work in the entertainment industry, doing something that people think like they have this perception of that you're doing better, and you're probably not doing better. They're more stuck on a perception more than actuality. And I know this is controversial, but I do think that poor people envy people who do better than them. And I'm saying that as somebody who would categorically, you know, if without inflation, I would be middle class, but because of inflation, I'm poor. I've seen these type of posts and comments before, but this week I was just on social media and I came across this post of Billy Porter from Pose talking about, you know, the recent Hollywood shutdown and the strike, and how a lot of people in Hollywood are, you know, almost 3 months away from being homeless, and it's really hard as entertainers to retain money, especially when they're not paying well, and a lot of the times they're not getting any residual money.
I'm making 6-cent checks on Pose, a show that I won an Emmy for.
So what do you mean you're making?
6-cent residual checks. What?
That's what you're getting?
Yes, that's what we're getting. Some of us are getting 6-cent checks. No. That's why we were on strike for 118 days. No, y'all don't get to do that to us anymore.
And so have you really lost a home?
Yes.
Is it your home?
Why would I
It's
be
your home?
lying?
Yeah.
Of
No,
course.
I'm not suggesting that. I'm just sort of, you know.
Yeah.
I mean,
You're just being a
I just read
being a
that,
journalist.
and I kind of thought, really? I mean,
yes,
you know, yeah.
it is. Everybody in this business, except for the ones who are making the FU money, are 3 months away from homelessness. If you got laid off tomorrow and didn't get a job for 3 months, you'd be in a... That's what it is.
And I opened up the comments because I'm a comment person. I love to look at comments. And I'm seeing a lot of unempathetic, my goodness, seeing a lot of unempathetic individuals just kind of like, well, get another job, like go into the work field like the rest of us. What is you complaining about? You're a celebrity. And oh my goodness, I was like, are you people serious right now? Like, are you people serious right now? You really think people who work in entertainment are just all celebrities and they make it big hoopla, they make it big cheese out here? No, I think you need to be the one that humbles yourself if you really think that. It's just like, it's been like in my face so much that I'm seeing it more and more. But I also seen this YouTuber that I've been following for a while, and she just made a video, and I partially disagree with some of the points that she made. Like, you know, of course, celebrity culture is gone, and you know, the big wow about celebrity culture is kind of gone because of social media, which is true, because a lot of social media, a lot of celebrities are using social media, so it kind of, you know, unmasks that mystery that there used to be in Hollywood, and they're more personal, more connected with fans, and you can see much more of everything. So it doesn't really make everything like a big deal per se, but you're able to kind of get a peek into celebrity culture, and regular people are able to emulate celebrity culture, and it's not special anymore. And I'm like, okay, you know, and then she starts getting into topics about like what's going on in Gaza, and how there's no celebrities really talking about it, and you know, they need to talk about it. But I'm like, wait a minute, but you just said they're just people just like us. You know, why do you expect celebrities to just I swear I cannot stand living in the city with all these, how, you know, and this is this double talking stuff that I just was kind of confused about the messaging, because on one end she was saying that celebrities are no mystery anymore, they're not alluring, the celebrity culture in general is dying, or is probably already dead, and we need to stop worshiping human beings, they're just humans just like us. But she said something that it was kind of double talking. It just kind of felt like a little uppity in a way, like, you know, I think you should be doing more. And I was confused as to where this was coming from. She was like, well, you know, they need to be more conscious and speak about what's going on in the climate of our world, and you know, you can no longer focus on yourself. And I'm like, why do they need to talk about the climate of the world? Why do they need to talk about, you know, what you think they should be talking about? Like, I get there's a lot of things going on in the world, but again, there are a lot of things going on in the world. If you really think that people can, you know, have attention on so many things at once, even if you think that this is like the largest, like she was talking about things happening in Gaza, and which is really tragic, but also, why are celebrities not talking about it? They're ignoring it, they're not talking about it, they need to be more conscious. And I'm like, well, you can't force somebody to be more conscious. And why are you expecting celebrities, remember, regular human beings with status in this earth, right? The status is not going nowhere when you dead, but you know, why are you expecting people who have status on this earth, who are just human beings, like you said, to do something differently than the rest of us, right? If you want it to be an even playing field, which I don't think there will ever be an even playing field when it comes to celebrities and average people, right? There's a disconnect here. They're still people. I'm not going to put them on a pedestal. I don't feel like they are the spokesperson for every political thing going on in the world. And to be on this high horse of you need to start being more conscious, or you need to start talking about things that are affecting the world and other people, I just don't think is appropriate. I think that as humans, we're going through things back to back. Like, there is a lot of issues happening in the world simultaneously, back to back to back. And just a few months ago, earlier this year, let's say March, people, you know, was, you know, outside dancing, doing a little TikTok dance, at Starbucks, jingling a little cup, jingling, making sure we heard all that ice up in there. Yup, just a few months ago, while people were struggling, in between your little TikTok dances, somebody was crying. In between you jiggling your cup, somebody was dying. I wanted to give a background on like my feelings towards this, right? And where this stems from, and then I'm going to get into the points. As a child, I was very imaginative. I was always encouraged to be who I wanted to be and do the things that I wanted to do. I never felt like I had to fit in anywhere to feel accepted. I just was kind of like doing my own thing. If I was into arts, I was into arts. And when I was younger, like, I never tell people this. It's weird, but it's true. I didn't play with dolls when I was like little. I started playing with dolls when I was 11 or 12. Around that age, I started to play with dolls because I actually didn't play with dolls. I was more of an outside tomboy kid. And I was still tomboyish at this time, but I enjoyed playing with dolls by myself. I did not like playing with anybody. I liked being a part of anything artsy. And I was just kind of by myself. Even in high school, like, I would hang out with multiple groups of people. Most people like hang out with a certain type of group of people. I was just bouncing all over the place. I don't feel like I have to fit into anything. Like, I'm Kianji. So I never actually experienced this like dying need of trying to fit in or trying to obtain what somebody else has. I always wanted it for me, and if I did not want it, I did not do it. That was just it. And if somebody was able to get it, it was because it was their own path and I was inspired by them. That is the truth of it. Never felt the feeling of jealousy because that's not something that ever floated in my head. Let me get into a few points, kind of dissect what I am seeing here, because I don't like the energy behind this tone and narrative that, you know, certain groups of individuals can't struggle or they're not feeling the same thing a lot of other people are feeling in this what is a quiet recession. So let's get into these points. Starting off with my first topic is Oppression Olympics. What do I mean by Oppression Olympics? Well, I feel like a lot of people try to fight to see who has it worse. Like, they're really competing to see who has more misery, who is struggling the most, and fighting to see, like, did you get through the mud like me? And it's like, if somebody says no, that's not valid. In this subpoint, I put, poor people have common relation, lack of money, right? Okay. There is a lack of money. That is something that is common amongst most people, especially right now with inflation. Prices of everything is going up. Groceries, housing, transportation, gas, everything is going up. And a lot of us are feeling this really tight penny pinch. Like me, if I was to be making the salary, right? I quit my job like months ago, but with that salary, if I were to have made that salary back in 2019, I would be classified as a middle class person. In today's economy, I would be categorized as poor. That is how it just flipped on its head. I think that there's a pressing issue with people believing that in this economy that things look the same like it did like in 2017 or 2019 before the C-19 shutdowns. I think people are just being a little bit delusional when they start talking about how someone cannot struggle due to them being perceived to have more money than somebody else. With minimum wage versus 100K people, there have been a lot of people who make 100,000 saying that is not enough, and people who make minimum wage like, how is it not enough? You make more than me. I only make 20,000 a year. Like, what do you mean like 100,000 is not the same? And I just be rolling my eyes because I'm like, you think 100,000 if you have a mortgage, all right, or you have children, 1 child, 2 child, 3, we're talking about after taxes, $100,000, groceries, think about groceries, phone bills, heat, energy, yeah, after taxes, you're not saving no money.
And if you are not convinced and you're still one of those individuals who are like, how can someone who makes 80 plus and 100,000 in that ballpark range still be living paycheck to paycheck? I just don't believe it. Remember the rule. If you make more money in salary, you pay more in taxes. More money, more problems. You know what I mean? So if you have not experienced a livable wage outside of at or below poverty, you would not have an understanding of the fact that a lot of what's going on is biting at people's checks. So you're having to pay so much in taxes, and then on top of that, things are going up. If you already had a house, you know, of course that payment is locked in there, but you have to account for gas, you got to account for groceries if you have a family, like everything is going up, and also them taxes is also getting bit the hell up.
You're not saving money. I think people are delusional. I think people are, in their mind, they're still living by the standards of pre-inflation, pre-C19 economy. I need you to think of 2023 economy right now. I need you to think of 2023 economy. I need you to pay attention to gas prices, housing, groceries. I need you, housing, did I say housing already? I don't know if I said housing. I need you to pay attention to all of these prices increasing, and think about these taxes that they just love to pull from us. If you're paying attention to any of that, it would actually make sense to you guys that people who have $100,000 are living paycheck to paycheck too. Like I said before, when I quit my old job, if I had made that salary in 2019, I would be classified as middle class. Today, with inflation, I am considered to be poor because my housing, I could not save that much. Literally, I quit months ago, and I could not save to save my life. And I don't live lavishly at all. I don't live luxury at all. I'm a pretty simple person. So I'm like, with nepotism, I don't blame parents. Honestly, I don't blame them, because personally, if I were to have children, I would definitely give them access to resources, because why wouldn't I? I don't feel like it's necessary to cut my child off, especially if I've gotten them comfortable and accustomed to a certain lifestyle as a child, and as soon as they turn 18, well, you just gonna have to figure it out by yourself. Like, no, that is a very weird thing to do. I get it. If you've worked really hard at something and, you know, you've practiced, you've studied, you've spent all the money and time to get where you desire, and somebody just got a birthright to just come up in that mug and get the position that you trained for, you studied for, you spent time and money on, yeah, you're gonna be feeling some type of way, because it's like, excuse me, did you just cut in line? Hear me out. I know people will disagree with this, and I don't mind that. It's okay to disagree, but I want to get this point out here. I find it weird that, okay, so from the last point, Oppression Olympics, everybody are struggling. The whole point is we want to get ahead. We want to live and not struggle. We don't want to be unhappy. We want to make money. If we were to win the lottery, we would take that money and we would retire and relax. And I don't doubt that if somebody were to create a lifestyle for themselves, if they had all the money, say if you're a poor person, right, and you know, work hard, or you gain access to more money, and you have children, why wouldn't you give your resources to your child? Why would you want your child to go through the struggle Olympics like you had to? You wouldn't want your child to experience that. Now, there are parents who like to do the tough love and give their child a better life, but also want to be like, look, I'm not about to help you with resources as an adult. You need to go out there and get it. I believe that until an extent. If you fully like cut them off from every resource, I think you're doing a little too fucking much, because you've had them accustomed to a lifestyle ever since they were a child, and as soon as they become 18, you're like, well, bye. Like, I think that is horribly wrong. That is not a good lesson to teach them. I think a good lesson to teach someone is, hey, you have me as a resource, but I want to see what you have done with what I have taught you. If you're, have all this money, or you have, a corporation, or have something lined up for your children to have in succession after you retire or pass away, you should be teaching them how to handle business or how to carry business and do something that's conducive. And I think your child wouldn't know how to accustomed to that type of lifestyle change when you've literally taught them nothing about life. If you're going to have money, at least teach your child something that is going to make them aware of reality, have humility, and make them realistic, instead of just pampering them and thinking that you're always going to have mommy and daddy to help you out. But I really never understood why people have this issue. Well, let me backtrack. I understand why people have this issue with Nepo babies, because again, yeah, we've trained, we've dedicated time, money, hours to this thing, and you just got it because it was a birthright. And I get that part, because that's just not fair. That's your child. What do you mean you're not going to, get them a job? What do you mean you're not going to pay for their college? What do you mean by that? Like, you have the money. Why are you being selfish like that? Why are you making them struggle? Hey, here, I'm struggling. Why do you want your child to go through what I'm going through when you have the resources? And then y'all gonna start calling them a bunch of narcissists. Y'all gonna say they're selfish and they're rude. If you were the person who was on the receiving end of not getting that opportunity, or that job, that name of that person because of the Nepo baby, of course, you're gonna be like, fuck them. But yeah, I think that's kind of weird. I think having access to resources is okay, especially if your parents have the resources. I mean, when I need help, I call my mother because I know she has resources. If she was a person I knew had resources, and she knew that I was like going out there trying to get them, and she was like, oh, well, you just gonna have to figure it out. Oh, baby, I would be like, get the... If you don't get, what you mean? You trying to gatekeep from your own child? You would feel some type of way. So can you really blame a parent for wanting to give their child a better life, even if that means it's unfair? I don't think it's, confusing. If anything, I do think that is another form of jealousy, is when you see somebody who was by their own birthright. They didn't ask to be in this world. They didn't ask to have parents with influence and power. They were just born, and they're accustomed to a certain life. They, understand that they have their own life, and they go to their parents for resources. So I cannot really fault the parents for wanting to give resources to their children if they know that their children are doing the effort to go for those resources, or the child who knows that their parent has influence and power, and they go to them to ask for help if they need it. My mother is not like a millionaire, but whenever I needed help or I needed resources, I can just call her, and she has a name, she has a number. Like, other people can't really say that. Like, my mother has had so many resources and opportunities for me to have, and a lot of people's parents weren't able to provide that to them. In conclusion, why I believe that poor people are envious or jealous has different, elements to it other than just jealousy. Like, it's like their own internal pickings at themselves, and why can't I obtain this?
I also forgot to mention individuals who were raised poor and had struggles growing up, and that is no longer their current life story. There are individuals who can relate to being poor, but they currently know more, or they're at least trying not to be poor. We live in a world where, capitalism is at the forefront of success. And if you believe that being a billionaire is unethical, then you also believe that being poor is unethical. And if one thing I know, nobody likes being poor. Being poor is not such a good feeling. And can you blame someone for not choosing to be poor anymore, for pulling themselves by the bootstrap, for getting that job that pulled them out of poverty, for making that business that got them out of poverty? Can you start to turn your nose up at them because they chose not to live in an unethical circumstance such as poverty?
Talking about with myself, where, you know, I was encouraged to be me, and I did not feel like I had to fit in anywhere, and that's why I'm comfortable having my own right and not trying to look at what somebody else is doing to feel comfortable in that. And when I was doing that, there was always, you know, I had lost so many girlfriends because of these issues, and they would admit that they were jealous of me because, and I'm going to talk about this later in a different video, but I had girlfriends who would sit and, you know, analyze what I'm doing because I was doing things in my own right, and I was obtaining success just by doing things that I felt convicted in doing, that I didn't feel like I needed someone to cheer me through, someone to talk me through. I just had an idea. I already had the grit to just push through and do it for myself, and they felt like they did not obtain that, they didn't have that, and it turned and developed into jealousy, it turned into envy, and now they don't understand me. Now they don't want to hear me out. Now everything, if I say that I'm struggling, you know, it's like, how can you struggle? You just went on vacation. Because I still got mental health problems. I can't have a mental health problems because I go and travel by myself. I mean, big whoopty. I mean, I would think you would try to have joy in your life, even when you are struggling. I think people see too much of the glitz and glam in someone in their life, and they write it off as if you are happy or if you're satisfied and you have it all. But a lot of people are not showing the whole story, and I feel like the rich versus the poor, I'm really only talking about like working class people. Everybody is really working class, but I'm really only talking about people who are at or below minimum wage, and people who are like making like let's say 80K and more. Like, there's a lack of empathy towards individuals that make more, because there's a perceived notion that individuals who make this amount of money don't have any problems, they don't have struggles, they're also not feeling the weight of this economy shredding down on all of us. Like, I think that there is an issue when we start to dehumanize individuals because of a job, because of salary. We think that individuals who have these things can't possibly struggle, which is further from the truth. You need to have empathy towards individuals and hear people out, because to assume that somebody is at a good place in their life because you think that $100,000 in today's time is actually living, when it's really not. It's actually on the same level, but you wouldn't understand that if you have not obtained that yet. And it's going to be really hard for you to kind of grasp how a person could be perceived as having it all and having more money than you, or having it easier. You would have to grasp like what's the difference. And I think to ask questions and to listen, instead of assuming that people who work in entertainment and who work in corporate jobs and who make $100,000 are having it easy. Like, it's just not that. That's all I wanted to say. I really think I should have said more. I was feeling really funny about this weird energy towards people who make more, or if they're celebrities and they're perceived to have more. I just thought it was weird, because it's like, you don't know what's in somebody's pocket. You don't know what's going on in somebody's head. You don't know what's going on in someone's body, right? You don't know what people are going through, and to think that somebody is having it easier to you because you have an idea in your head what is easier. I think there's just got to be a little bit more conversation and dynamic, so we can knock down this weird vibe going on. So with that being said, I'm gonna close the video off right here and get these cats to calm down, because I feel like they've been thumping around long as hell. But anyways, bye.